I've heard a couple stories Jim has told about Christine Jarrett over the years, and a couple of questions have popped up. When talking about Christine, Jim speaks highly, was the respect that Jim had for her universal from all the boys back then. And two, other than Christine Jarrett, Ann Gunkel and Leah Maivia, there were not a lot of ladies with high levels of power in the territory era of the wrestling business. The only other lady I could think of would be Mrs. Baba in All Japan. Are there any that I am missing?
Well, let's hold on a second and let's come back to that. As far as whether the respect for Teenie was universal, I don't think most of the boys liked her as much as I did, because I loved her and she was the reason I got to hang around. But everybody respected her. But if they didn't love her, it was because she was the one that prevented them from having fun at her given locations, or kept an eye on them so they didn't do anything that she was supposed to do, right? I mean, she was nice to everybody, so nobody actively hated her. But I think they're like, oh, fuck, watch out, Teenie's here. But as far as heavy-hitting, really responsible female promoters, Ann Gunkel was one, because she started the company. The asterisk is obviously that her husband had gained the trust and the admiration of the boys as booker, and they felt that she was getting a raw deal, and that's why they went with her against the established office. She didn't book things herself. She basically established the company, got the television show through Ted Turner, formed the thing, and then let the wrestling people administrate it. With Miss Christine, she wasn't booking anything. She was actively promoting towns, Louisville and Evansville and Lexington, as the business. She was signing contracts with the buildings and checking up at the box office and placing the advertising. And Jerry, her son, who owned the main part of the company, or his booker, were creating. So she was a promoter that actually promoted towns, where I think Ann Gunkel probably had somebody in the office doing that type of thing for her. Lee Maivia did a little bit of everything, and who am I to say anything bad about Lee Maivia, because generally bad things happen to you if you do that, so I wouldn't. Mrs. Baba, I think, was probably the most powerful one of the bunch, because the decision she made and the company that she was pretty much the business mind in charge of, and Baba was the talent and creative performance side. They had the biggest amount of revenue, the most money. They were, making a fortune in those days in Japan. So, I'm trying to think, and I'm sure someone is calling to remind me now.
It's Leah Maivia. No, the only other names I can think of off the top of my head are Eileen Eaton in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And then I forget her first name, and I'm sure you would know it, in Louisville, the McDonoughs.
Are you thinking of Francis McDonough? Because that was a guy.
No, his wife was very involved in every aspect of the business.
Okay, all right, I give you, but it's not like she was running the thing at the same time, or really even publicly. She even stayed with it after he died. Well, that's true. All right, I'll give you that. With an asterisk, she inherits.
Aging John Cosper.
Oh, yeah, all right, we got to get John. I know, he works and has children. He's hard to get a hold of during the day when I'm a slacker and I fucking sit around a lot. She inherited it. Mrs. Baba had the company with the most money. Eileen Eaton was the promoter, but actually had more, once again, it had been a family situation, and other people booked and handled the wrestlers, whereas she handled the business end. And I'm trying to think of another one that might have been in any way powerful. And how about the woman that they sold Tupelo to? What was her name? Miriam Springfield. Oh, you don't know the great story of the great Tupelo promoter Miriam Springfield?
This isn't the Ronnie Gossett story, is it?
No, this is a completely different woman.
Okay.
It was Mark and spent money in the wrestling business. They were going to shut Tupelo down, the Memphis office, because this building was horrible. I think it used to be like a car maintenance body garage shop, whatever, oil on the floors, and they'd reconverted it. I mean, when they had the fight to the dressing room one time, they knocked down the partition of the dressing room, and there was Eddie Marlin standing naked in the fucking shower. It's all fans looking in. It's just a dump of a building in a shitty town. On the wrong side of that shitty town, they didn't have the big fucking coliseum they have today in the 70s. It was an outlaw wrestling town. They did have a TV station there that carried the program that they shot at the Coliseum every Monday night, the matches at the Mid-South that they would put back on TV, because they also got Memphis TV. And so they were going to quit running it. And this fan named Miriam Springfield, I think she had a daughter also, if whatever the fuck, to stop them from pulling wrestling out of her town because she was on front row every goddamn week. She bought the town, the promotional rights to the town from Eddie Marlin, I guess, for we heard 20 grand or 40 grand. And part of the deal was she would run the town. They would put the TV still on Channel 9, Tupelo, and they would give her a card every Friday night, 4 matches with 8 guys that were on the fucking Heat crew, or the Buttermilk run, as Dream Machine used to say, that they really wanted to punish. Run out of the fucking territory, you get booked in Tupelo on Friday night. Because there was going to be 120 people there paying fucking $5 a head, and you were going to make $50 is what you were going to get. And that was the deal. They provided those cards, and she ran the town every Friday night. And you had to get paid by, and the booker or whoever was the referee, whoever represented the office, would send her the goddamn card, the list of what everybody was supposed to get paid, and you'd get your money in cash in an envelope. Well, if you got left off the list and you were a heel, she didn't like the heels, so she wouldn't pay you. Because she didn't like the heels anyway. She didn't mind. She bonused the baby faces because she didn't think they were making enough money. But because she was a mark, even though she was the promoter, she would try not to pay the heels and certainly would never be nice to them. And she'd give the money to the referee to hand out. I never spoke to this woman. Right? She never came anywhere near the fucking heel locker room, and I went to Tupelo for 12 of the first 14 weeks I was in the business. But one of those nights, actually, that was when I had got that new car that I'd gotten, and I had the wreck coming back from Tupelo to Memphis through the Holly Springs National Forest, totaled the car, $15,000 car. And that night I'd driven 440 miles to get to Tupelo and hadn't been on the payoff sheet because I just started managing. So even though I was on the booking sheet and was supposed to be there, she wouldn't pay me. So they didn't give me my $50. Then I wrecked my fucking car. And then I went to Memphis TV the next morning, having been knocked out and fucking stove up and couldn't hardly move around. And they jerked me in the ring and body slammed me a bunch of times. That was a fun weekend when I first got in wrestling.